What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's preview, I'll talk about the new SaGa Soul Banner that has actually two banners combined into one. We have 6 new styles and it was confirmed by the video that it will be a 10% banner. So 6%, 1% for each of the new styles and 4% for off banners. We'll have to check how many off banners will be included, but they will all be related to SaGa Soul. Well, now we can go to Reddit. We have this post by Hands43. Once more, thank you so much for spreading all this information. And, well, they buffed almost all styles in good ways. And Nala's daughter is now much better. She has now 100% wheel and she already had 110% endurance. Those are very good values for a support unit that will just be buffing and healing if needed. Well, she has a very interesting setup for buffs. On odd turns, she gets 1 BP to herself and buffs all of her status by 15%. On even turns, that is turn 2 and beyond, she will give 1 BP to everyone, including herself, and also buff all status for everyone, including herself. So, first turn, she's selfish. Second turn, she spreads all buffs. Then, when all allies are alive, she will increase damage for all of them, including herself, by 10%. Then, for all allies as well, damage would be reduced by 20%. That's the improved Scrum Guard that we have with the latest Gustave. Then, she will increase damage by 20%, so total of 30, and she grants herself defense up. That decreased damage taken by 10% will stack 5 times. With that much endurance and that much will, she will be very good, and especially from turn 5 onwards. And sadly, the only damage reduction that she has on high value on turn 1 is 20 plus 10. So even then, depending on the type of enemies, she may get more damage on start, but will start to receive less later. But guys, just look, she's self-buffing all turns. By having higher endurance and will, damage will be reduced as well. Now, skill 1 is free, and it's that same one from Muse. It's a single target cold attack that can debuff will. Well, it's something free that you have access to. It may even be bad sometimes if you just keep using this too much, but you won't. Because if you debuff too much sometimes, bosses will use Defy Weakness, no matter what you are debuffing. The second skill is a 8 BP S power attack that has single target cold damage that, after that, will grant the target morally down. That will decrease damage by 15% and will increase all status for all surviving allies by 25%. This is similar to Water Festival, but, well, Water Festival gives you defense boost that decreases also damage taken by 15%, but to your allies, not to the enemy. But in the end, it's very similar effect. And, well, we are lacking the BP. When you use Water Festival, you actually need to use 9, but you regain 1 because you are giving BP to everyone. Since her damage is not really important, people will still prefer to use Water Festival most of the time, especially because Water Festival gives you defense boost. Defense boost that lasts for 4 turns and it stacks with itself. Then you have to see that she gets at least 4 BP per turn always. No matter what happens, she gets 4 BP. If you have BP generators like Valdor, that will decrease the cost of Water Festival to 7 and she regains 1, effectively you are only using 6 with a character that has 4. In the end of 4 turns, you can actually cast your Water Festival 2.5 times, for example, because 16 BP for 4 turns, and she will actually be using 6. That means that you only spend 12. So sometimes you have 3 defense boosts stacked, sometimes only 2, with access to Valdor. But if she's just by herself, you can at least have 2 Water Festivals stacked, because overall, you only use 8, and she gets enough to use 2 times. So it's still very good to have, especially because she's buffing everyone passively as well. Okay, and she already has Scrum Guard, that means 20% damage reduction, then at least 2 layers of 15% reduction alongside status buffs. Yeah, very nice. Then we have skill number 3, that's 9 BP, a triple S attack that has cold damage, that can only be used once per battle, and it grants heat up of large effect, increasing damage potential to the party by 15%, and including herself. Will also give her defense up very large, that decreases damage taken by 20%, but only to herself. I don't think you need to use this on turn 1. People may like this to increase the damage of their party, but 15% heat up will not be game changing. You can wait to your first overdrive so that she actually will perform an attack, and then she will use this. I don't know if she will be using this before your other character's attack, but then she would just become better defensively later, because on start of fight sometimes you just want more buffs. That seems to be more important to not get inflicted with ailments. Well, Nal's daughter with the inheritance of Waterfast will be another OP grade character, and I do believe that now it's time to demote Matriarch. No version of Matriarch is enough now, because all of our meta buffers have something else, some sort of defense reduction, and even if Matriarch can keep buffing every single turn, it's sometimes not enough. Your characters will not survive as well. So, another meta buffer in the game, especially if you have the first one. Without the first one, I don't think she's OP. She's just a triple S character. Moving on, we have Saul, and she is a mermaid. She was buffed for will only, 100%. She's fragile for physical. And she nullifies all types of cold damage. Then she also grants herself Elemental Guard, that decreases damage taken from heat and shadow by 25%. People say that if the attack has both elements, then it will stack. This lasts for only one turn, but it keeps triggering. Then she also reduces damage taken by 25%, and by the end of the turn she gets 2 BP. And she has Intrinsic Staff to increase damage by 20, decrease damage resisted by 40%, and having 37% chance to evade resist attacks. So, she's okay. Defensively, even through her endurance is not that great. First skill is Lightning Plus. This is okay, because you will not need to use Bonk, and she can paralyze the target with medium chance. Now that we need more paralyzers for staff users though. Then the second one is a C-Power AoE attack with 7 PP cost that will grant an attack and defense boost of small effect. Those will have 15% value. Defense boost is okay, the attack boost will not change much, but it's all about her third skill. It's a 9 BP support that is fast and grants a cold negation shield. Any skill that has cold, even if it has slashing cold, will be negated. And she also applies a region by the end of a turn, healing around, I don't know, maybe 230s. And the thing here is, we already have Fire Shield with Almas. We already have Shadow Shield with Goddess. Now we are having a third one. These things are nice to have for some very specific challenges, but no content is balanced around it. It's just a gimmick and something interesting to have. Just because of the shield by itself, I think that, well, it deserves an SS Plus grade. She can use this on turn 1, and then on turn 2 you will be able to use skill 1, then sometimes skill 2. Sometimes you have the extra effect, but you should still focus more on having the negation shield. That is the most interesting thing about the character. Now we have Natalie. Natalie is just like Mariah, not Maria. Remember that character that uses spears, and when she gets hit she heals the party with a chance. That's the evolution of the character. She doesn't have much higher status, like Endurance is 70, Will is 90, and all the other status are kinda on the average levels, because she is kind of a hybrid. And she does have something very nice that is proven to be even better now current game, that is Action Switch. When she attacks with Pierce attacks, she grants herself an attack boost increasing damage by 10% that lasts for 3 turns and stacks. And she also recovers 2 BP. When she uses cold attacks, she will grant herself a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%, lasts for 3 turns, can also stack. She also recovers HP by a very small effect, that should be around 230s. The second one she has is, when attacking, 50% chance to recover the HP of all surviving allies by around 230. When she's attacked, that's the same one that comes from Mariah, she will also have 50% chance to recover HP of all surviving allies by around 230. That's base level. If you buff Love and Charisma, it will increase. So she already has the gimmick from the past style and can now even heal when attacking, with a chance as well. Cards like Antonius that are on the newest challenges attack like sometimes 5 to 6 times, and she can actually be placed on the middle of a Rising Phoenix X formation, and she can just trigger many heals to help the party out. It's an interesting setup if the enemy attacks multiple times. Then she still has Intrinsic Spear 4, that means that damage increases by 20%, it's her only damage passive. She was not made for damage, but she decreases damage taken by 40% if she resists, then she has 37% chance to evade said attacks. Because of her defense boosts already being very good, she will not take too much damage. First skill is free, and it's piercing code, so it will trigger all of her action switches. And, well, no additional effect, just to trigger everything. The second one is an AoE B-Power Pierce attack that can poison the targets, that can be used for specific challenges like Carmine. Well, it's much better than we had in the past with Mondo, for example. She brings more to the table, in my opinion. So, besides, this is only Pierce, will not trigger all of her action switches. Then the third one, she decreases all status from an enemy, just like Rock does, just like ScherBR does, by 15%. And will also grant the target defense down small. That decreases defense of the enemy by 10 up to 15% on max rank. Lasts for 2 turns. She will not be able to stack this because of BP generation unless you save a lot. But the interesting thing here is that debuff. Sometimes you just want one debuffer to use this every 2 turns or every 3 turns, I don't know. You can use every 2 turns because she gets 5 PP per turn. If you don't reach a Dare Soul where the boss will start getting angry because you are debuffing too much to use the fire weakness and then you lose all values, this can be useful. But besides, you can just stay there trying to get hit and heal the party. That will still work pretty well. And you can inherit Poseidon Shot that also deals damage. It's cold and pierce and recovers her HP by around 1,500, or Ring of Life Plus that also recovers and can cleanse debuffs. So she has some utility. She is a sort of a healer, but since she does not have any sort of defense boost to the party, people will still have to think a little when using the character. But she is amazing for Remembrance, for example, especially since we don't have that many other characters that are so useful there, besides the, well, Matriarch, Subir, and Forneus. Now, she will receive a triple S grade because this type of healing and this type of defense boost is still pretty useful. Moving on, we have Ruby, and Ruby is interesting. They buffed her agility. It's now 101%. Intelligence is pretty high with 120. Endurance is low, and Will is just okay. She has the same passive as Saruin for damage. Remember when Saruin increases the damage of all surviving allies by 50% when they attacking with Shadow? This is the same thing that happens with Ruby, but when attacking with fire attacks. So, it's good, because we can actually use other fire attackers, but it depends on how many you have in your party. She does not give the extra BP effect though. They should have changed it and give her so that she is more like Saruin. But it includes herself as well. She also increases 40% hit damage to herself, and then she gets another 20 and then another 20. So 40, 70, 120% damage increase. She gets 5 BP per turn when attacking with heat attacks, and also reduces damage taken by 25 and then again by 40% because of intrinsic, and still has a chance to evade. So she does have a good kit when you think about it. Her first skill is C-Power, and it's just heat damage, and it will always buff her intelligence by 25%. For 1 BP and C-Power, that's actually pretty nice for a character with 5 BP. And there's also a 25% chance to buff intelligence of everyone else, excluding herself. Good, because it's almost free. The second one is a 9 BP triple S heat attack that will buff her own intelligence by 30% and then attack. So it will feel more in line like a 4S attack for only 9 BP. Another character that will work super well is ScherBR, when you use it together with this character. We'll also be able to use Bertrand to stronger damage as well. Latest Death, Matcha will also work, even Goddess. We do have some characters that will benefit from, well, being in the same squad as Ruby, especially if she buffs the intelligence then. Even if she doesn't, they are already getting stronger. Now the third one is a triple S attack again. Again, this time it's fast and can only be used 3 times in battle. Before attacking, she grants the Elemental Enhance, Heat, Medium effect to all allies, and then she attacks. This will increase their heat damage permanent in the fight by 10%, so yes, she buffs as much as 80% heat damage to the party after she uses this 3 times. After that, you will just stick it to using the spell number 2, because it even has a little more damage after you use it, that heat up effect. So it's an interesting character. Sadly, she is more of a nuker. Needed some sort of chase mechanic in order to be better, but since she buffs damage to the party, she's still another type of damage dealer that can be used in some situations, and you still deserve a triple S grade But, well, it's not as strong as Saruin. Saruin is on OP grade because he gives more utility to the party than Ruby. Moving on, we have Silence. And Silence is... oh my god, what they did to him. He is a hybrid unit. You can see by the status distribution. They didn't buff anything here. And he does have high dexterity, but all the other status are just okay. Does have some intelligence, though. He will increase the pierce damage for all surviving allies by 30%, just like we got in the past for some characters. And recovers on BP by 1. Then, when he attacks targets, he also recovers another BP, so at least 5 BP per turn when attacking. And then, attack increases by 20, then by another 20 for a total of 40, and he also casts defense up, decreasing damage taken by 10%, stacks 5 times per battle. So, he does have some damage reduction, but only on this part, so he will take lots on start and then eventually receive less. First attack is a roll C power attack that grants morale up medium, and for 2 turns, that is increased damage by 25%. And action order increase that is very large, that will increase your speed in fights so that you can attack before enemies like Time Lord, for example. This lasts for 5 turns, is an interesting buff, but in the end, it's hard to take advantage of this type of stuff because not all bosses are so dangerous that you need to go before then so much. And they will have to remove your buffs as well because buffing agility is always enough unless buff breaks. So, power is not important, it's all about the extra effect. The second skill is fast AoE support that tries to confuse the target with medium chance. This works for the Remembrance battle versus Wuhan if you want, but that's it, nothing else. Since he is a rapier unit, it's another source of this. Then the third one is a triple S power attack that's roll and pierce, just like the first one. That one is an opener and tries to paralyze the targets with medium chance in 4 turns, so that you can use it on Remembrance versus the Real Queen when they update to stage 25, eventually to stage 30, but you will not see much use of this. He's not that strong for farming, he's just a character that can be used for Remembrance, and very specific utility that is not enough, in my opinion. It's better to just bring Elise that decreases the action order of the enemy, because she does much more damage than what you can get with Silence. Well, this character is very simple and not effective. I will only give him an SS- grade in the tier list. Moving on for Victor, he has good defenses, 116 for both Endurance and Will, and STR is 103, with everything else just on average values. When he attacks with skill number 2, he follows up with Flowing Slash Plus. This is lore related. Well, this is an attack that can debuff STR. But then we have this on recover 2 BP when attack lands. So if he uses S2, he is actually going to attack 2 times. So he will generate 2 BP from the passive. Then he has a 37% chance to cover an ally when an ally is attacked and reduce damage taken to himself. To be by 25%, I believe. When being attacked, he will buff Endurance, Will, and Charisma of all allies by, sadly, just 5%. Well, we will eventually get someone that will buff more than this, but for now, this is a proto design, where they will see if they can get away with small buffs, but eventually they will release someone that buffs 15% and get hit. And, well, we also have someone in the future like Julian that will buff all surviving allies by higher values, because he's actually a counter. Here, it's just being attacked, you don't need to counter. Even indirect attacks will trigger the effect, so when you're in a fight where the enemy attacks like 5-6 times, you can actually build 2 very good values. Then he also reduces damage taken by 40%, and when attack lands, he has a 50% chance to trigger a damage block. So you want to use his S2, because then you have 2 chances of triggering damage block. And that's good for a character that would try to tank and cover allies. He will be more targeted, will receive more attacks. And that's it, he's not made for damage. Skill number 2 is very cheap though, that's why it's good. It's just 3 BP, and before attacks he buffs his STR by up to 30%, then attacks, and then tries to debuff the STR of an enemy because of Flowing Slash. Just so that you know, the follow-up attack is also A power. 2 times A power equals triple S power, which is 3 BP. If you are buffing STR, he eventually does enough damage, but by himself he doesn't have many damage passives. Then the third one is a 9 BP S power attack that grants himself defense boost of medium effect that decreases damage taken by 25%, lasts for 5 turns, can even stack if you get too much BP, and he enters a down stance. That's interesting, having this down stance that lasts for 4 turns, but depending on the formation, you probably already have good chances to be attacked, and his cover is related to a passive, so, well, they should have given him that taunt via passive instead to manually use this, but sometimes you can use because eventually you will get 5 BP per turn. So, get 5, uses 3. You have a surplus of 2. That means that usually you can just use this for once, and then after 5 turns, you use it again. That's more than enough in my opinion. But he still has this fast, grants defense boost to himself for emergency situations where you are unprotected and, well, your HP is low, so that he will just try to reduce damage taken by 50% for that specific turn. That's interesting, so that you can also heal. Maybe you have only a delayed healer like Polka, like Nirza, and then he needs the help. He covered it too much, he needs help. That's it. This character is pretty interesting by own design, but he's not better than, for example, the latest Noel. Latest Noel can heal the party. He can also cover, but he needs to use an active skill. But he can chase. His damage is also good. I think that, in a way, Victor can be interesting by buffing the squad instead of himself, though. So that is an interesting mechanic. And Noel can be a solo damage dealer, while Victor can't. Noel self-heals. Victor doesn't, so he will just eventually die. He needs party composition. He needs a party that will help him either get stronger or just get the heals that he will need. Well, I believe Noel is better, but Victor deserves either an SS Plus or a triple S grade. I will still decide about this in my banner review. But we have way too many units here, guys. 6 units on a 6% banner, and you still have 4% off banners. It's big value. So I believe if you have the past version of Noel's Daughter, and I mean the past one, the one that has Water Festival, this banner is for you. Especially if you skip it Noel in a way, and if you have a need for another pierce damage dealer or support for spears. There's some interesting thing to get from that new character that tries to be Mariah. And Ruby is okay, especially if you have lots of hit damage dealers. So by having 6 units, I think I will give this banner either a Silver Plus or a Gold Minus award. I do believe that Gold Minus is good enough by having 6 units. Much higher chance to get something. You should pull a little and get something and drop the banner if you have gotten 1 or 2 or 3 styles. You don't need to go to a PD in banners like this, but it's very good value for anyone. So, well, for now, this is my opinion. I'll do a full banner review, but not now. I'll probably take 1 or 2 days to make it because I will do the other one first. The other banner is a skip. This one is probably good for most people, even new players or veterans, but not good for everyone to pity, just to have fun pulling a little. With all that said, this is my opinion. What is yours? Please share here on the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I want to see you again on the next video.